Hello. Right, we'll do a bit of basics if you wanted to start keeping bees. People seemed quite interested in my last video, so I'll do another one. So, as you can see, this is a bee suit. So, you can see the material. It's three layers. It's all little holes. So you've got a thin mesh, and then a thick mesh in the middle, and a thin mesh on the outside. That's so the stingers can't penetrate through to your skin. I suppose they can the odd time, but I've done 11 hives this morning, no stings. And then just some latex gloves. This is a hive tool, metal, and what you use this for is lifting out your frames, prizing apart boxes. It's sharpened on one edge so you can scrape your wax off, you can hook frames out. Another tool, notoriously easy to lose. So, as you know, once you start keeping bees, you end up, they're busy today, you end up with this. So you have a floor, a door, a brood box, that's where the queen does all the laying, queen excluder, we saw that last week, keep up viewers, and then the bees can come through to 1, 2, 3 honey supers. They'll just be full of honey. That one has 2. And the main thing you need to do is make sure that they have plenty of room. If they haven't got room, they'll swarm. So, if you wanted to start keeping bees, you don't just buy a queen bee. Some people think you just buy a queen bee and she starts laying eggs. You buy a nuke, N-U-C, a nuke, and these are nukes, polynukes, and the polystyrene, I think they're the better ones, the polystyrene, because they can hold the thermal temperature much easier. Now one of those hives has 11 frames in, this one just has 6. So this box is the brood box, and instead of a super, this box has got a feeder on the top. So we can put sugar syrup in there. The bees can take the sugar syrup from there down to consuming the bottom while they build the numbers up. Once they've built the 6 frames up, you transfer it into a hive and let them build into 11 frames. Once they've started building across the frames, you put the supers on the top, so you start getting your honey coming in. Now the secret is to make sure that they don't run out of room. Now, so last week, those boxes up there, they were running, well actually not the ones there, the ones I've got over on the allotment. They started where they were producing queen cells. If I catch any queen cells today, I'll do a little video on that and put that on next week. But what they were doing is they were producing queen cells. Once the queen cells capped, then the original queen in the hive can leave, which is classed as a swarm, and she'll take half the bees with her. Well, if they do that, your honey production in that hive dramatically drops. It takes a long time. It takes I think off the top of my head, I think it's 16 days for the queen to hatch, then another 2 or 3 weeks for her to mate, then to start laying. So by the time you're done, a month's gone before she's laying again, and you've lost a month's worth of bees. And a queen bee can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. So there's 2,000 hatching every day. So there's soon 14,000 in a week. They soon build up the numbers. But if you were to start keeping bees, you buy these, a polynuke. Now one of these from a reputable beekeeper, or not beekeeper, producer, they charge you about £350. They're really expensive. But the box on its own is probably £60 to buy. If you were to buy a queen on its own, because you can do that to re-queen, they're probably £40, £45. So you've got £100 before you start. Your frames, each frame is maybe £3 plus, 6 frames, 18 quid, say £20. So you've got £120 before you even start. Then they've had to be looked after, they've had to be reared, they've had to be fed. So, but you'll probably get a split like this is. Once it's built into a nuke, you'd probably get it off a local beekeeper for £150 or £100 saying you'd let him have his box back. But what I'll do today is I'll have a look through this hive. Like I say, this was just a split, just a couple of frames last week. So we'll open it up, we'll have a look inside, and we'll see how they're doing. Let me just put you on the stand over here. This is where I've got them up the farm. So all this here, I just planted it all. I rotivated all this and put wildflower seed in, and it's all taken. When that comes through, lovely. And the dandelions, bees love dandelions. So let me just set my tripod up. bear with. Right. So I should be able to see from there. The strap on the top just stops the lid being blown off. Now you normally use smoke, but because this is just a small colony, I'll probably get away without putting a little bit of smoke on. The smoke just makes them think there's a fire and they go into a bit of a panic mode where they consume honey in case they need to leave. Take this top off. Right, let's have a look in there. So this is just a polystyrene roof, but it's good thermal insulation. I'll just bring you over and have a little look in the top of here. As you can see in here, the bees can get up this centerpiece and over the top. This is a piece of perspex on there, a thin piece of plastic. They get down here, and what you do to feed them, you pour sugar syrup in this side and in this side, and there's a tiny gap under there, so the sugar syrup will go under there and build up to the same level. It'll balance out on the inside there, same as on the outside here, and the bees come over the top, take the sugar syrup and down. Now that there will hold a couple of litres, maybe 3 litres, I'm not sure, but they can empty that in a day. But at this time of year we shouldn't really need to be feeding because they're bringing in their own nectar and pollen. So I'll put that back on there. So what I'll do now is take this top off with my hive tool. So you put your hive tool underneath and lift off this top. Sometimes the frames can stick, so I'll give it a little twist, the frames drop back down. Put my finger on there, else it'll fall out, and I turn it over, and I'm just checking that the queen is not on here, because sometimes the queen can be on there. She's not, so I'll put that down. Then here, let's have a look inside. They've really built the numbers up already. So from last week, this is probably a frame, and this is probably a frame from last week. The rest are just what they've built out. So let's see how much they've done. Keep having to check that you can see. So this outer frame is probably going to be stores. They call it stores, it's just nectar, and it's honey. But I'm lifting it up. It feels there's a bit of weight to it, but it's not too heavy. Yeah. So they're filling that out with honey. So let me have a little look. This is a brood frame, and here it's flat. You can see there, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's just a flat sheet of wax that I've put in. Then here you can see the bees, when they're a certain age, I think it's between about the age of like 10 and 14 days old, they produce wax, and on the underside of their abdomen they produce little pieces of wax, and they build this wax comb out. And once they've built it out, they can store honey in it, and they actually build it out on a slight angle. I'm not sure if it's 11 degrees, and the honey then stays in. So that there is what they've built out, and they're storing all this. This here you can see in there is honey, so that's nectar. But they bring it in and it's 40% water content, so it's quite runny. Ah, you see, didn't see her. The queen is there, so I have to be careful we don't want her to drop. So what I'll do is I'll hold it over the colony. If she falls, she'll fall back in. So they bring it in at 40% water, and they evaporate it out down to below 20. Once it's below 20, like ideally, I think when I did my honey, I can test it on a fractometer, it was about 17% water. So you're getting a nice thick honey, and then it will store indefinitely. They've found honey in Egyptian tombs, it's still edible. So the queen's on that one. I'll pop this one back in here. I actually like the queen to be down the frame, so if I just touch her, she'll panic and we can get her moving. Get her moving down there. So I can put this back in, and I know that the queen is inside. I can pull out the next one, nice and steady. Quite a nice calm bee. This is where your eyesight starts going, because it's difficult to see through the mesh and see what you're doing. But they've drawn all that out, so that's all ready for the queen to lay in. The whole frame's drawn out, beautiful yellow. You can see the pollen that these are bringing in. So some bees will just bring pollen, some bees will just bring nectar, some bees will just fetch water, I'm going to leave that frame out, and that gives me a bit of room to work. So I'll just leave that there for now. I know the queen's on the first one. Right. This frame is all brood, so all this in this circle are all new, ready to hatch bees. So they lay an egg. The egg, after a couple of days, falls onto its side and hatches and becomes a larvae. The larvae eats royal jelly, you've heard of royal jelly, and it grows and grows and grows till it pupates and it's capped over, and it'll transform into, these are all workers, so they're all female. That's all good. Pop that back. Take out another one, nice and steady. If you're nice and relaxed, the bees are generally nice and relaxed. Again, as you can see here, all brood, and all the way around you've got different stages. You'll have eggs, larvae, capped brood, and little bits of honey. That's honey at the top, stores. Same on this side. I can see I've got eggs, larvae. So this here, I don't think you'll be able to see, but in here there's eggs and larvae. They're like a little C-shaped, white. Come close, I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up, or probably not. But once they're capped over like that, they can regulate the temperature a bit better. That's where a polynuke comes in. So we've got a male bee. This is a drone. That has no stinger. He has nothing, no stinger. Can you see he's got a round bum? And all he's for is to mate with queens. So ultimately you get three different types of bees. You get the males, the drones, you get the females, the workers, which is good 95%, and one queen. If there's more than one queen in a hive, they'll fight and one will kill the other. Or one will leave and take a load of bees with her, which you don't want. So they're doing okay. Take out this next frame. Hold it far enough so these old eyes can see. Get in, I can see royal jelly and larvae in the bottom of those, and eggs in the bottom of those. And because it's going to be nice this next week, it's about, what is it now, 26th of April. James running a marathon tomorrow. Rather Jane than me. She's a bit worried about this warm weather. Because it's warm weather, they'll build up the numbers really quickly. And this outer one, they usually put honey in the very end one. So this one will have, this is 4 times as heavy. So this one, as you can see, is just honey. That's all capped. That's capped honey. This is uncapped. So once it's got to below 20%, they'll cap it like that, and it will last forever. That's just technically to get them through the winter. But what they do is they'll bring in and store way more honey than they need. So that's what we take as beekeepers and jar up. So, like I say, to buy one of these nukes is £350, and then you've got to buy all your frames, your boxes, everything goes in. You're looking maybe to set up one colony, £500, and then you have to maintain it, look after it every week. So come on. So there's a lot of work goes into that jar of honey. Come on. Don't know why I'm talking to them, they can't hear me. So I know that one's good, so I can put the top back on. I put the strap back on it, just stops the wind blowing everything off. And that basically is a nuke. Nucleus. And the strap's so long because eventually that will go on a hive, and it will be big enough to keep putting boxes on, and the strap will still be able to strap them back down. That's it for this week. Unless I find a queen cell, and then I'll do another video and show you what a queen cell looks like.